Hello, everyone. Happy week 14 of our 6-month podcast series where I have quit my day job and I am diving into all things business. Building Empowered by Women, our community platform that supports women entrepreneurs, whether they're product-based or service-based. Building Book of Bijou, which we're going to dive into more today. That's my product line. And building my coaching business, speaker business, all of the things, writing a book. So this 6-month series is really diving into all of the things that I'm working on, all the strategies that I'm putting to place, the mindset that I'm cultivating, the relationships that I'm building to, for one, have this really cool timeline that I can fall back on and then listen into in the future of how things have transpired and all of the magic that's going to happen in these 6 months. I feel like obviously I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the 6 months. I feel like it's going to be magical. I feel like things have already been happening that's been really magical in these past few months. So it's going to be cool to be able to listen back and see all the things that I worked on and see how much has changed 5 years down the line compared to what I'm going through today. But also, I want to give you kind of like a behind the scenes look of everything that I'm working on. Maybe you yourself are thinking about quitting your day job, or maybe you did it recently, or maybe you did it not so recently, but you feel like you haven't built the momentum that you had hoped to build by now for your business, and you're feeling kind of alone and you need that support. This podcast will hopefully be that support because I'm going to lay it all down on the line for you, okay? I'm going to share all the little details, and then hopefully you can walk away with a few golden nuggets to apply back to your own business. That is the goal. So this is week 14, which means we're a little over 3 weeks now, 3 months now, more than the halfway mark. I probably have been saying this every single episode the past few weeks, but it blows my mind. It blows my mind how quickly time is passing. And this is definitely my new normal of getting up and creating my own schedule and working for myself. And I'm obsessed with it. And there are definitely moments where I feel like, why does it feel like I haven't done anything? I haven't gotten anywhere. And then there are also moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking crushing it. And I think that's kind of just like the roller coaster of entrepreneurship and the roller coaster of life. And even this podcast, I feel like is a good example of that because for this particular episode, I feel like I have so much to talk about. And last episode, I feel like I was rambling quite a bit. So for those of you that sat through last episode, I appreciate you so much. I'm sorry if that was so messy and I couldn't even get my words right. I felt it in that moment too when I was recording. I could feel how chaotic it felt and how much I didn't have the words to use. I really do chalk it up to mom brain. I feel like I'm peak mom brain. We're 14 months. Baby is 14 months old. I don't even feel like he's a baby anymore. He feels like a whole ass kid, which is crazy. And I'm excited to get back to the point where I feel really, really sharp and I'm on top of it 24/7. I do have those moments, but I definitely have those moments where I'm words don't work. My brain doesn't work. I don't my vocabulary is limited to 10 different words and we just keep it pushing. So again, if you endured that last episode, I appreciate you for coming back and giving me another chance. Okay, so let's dive into all the things because again, there's a lot that I want to talk about and I'm going to go have to pick up baby boy in about 30 minutes. Let's start with Book of Bijou because this is the big black elephant in the room. And I say black because the products that I ordered are black, so there's just a black everywhere. Book of Bijou is my product line. For those of you that are not familiar with it, it is a jewelry organizer designed to look like a coffee table book. So it comes with pages. There's different pages to choose from, so it's really tailored to whatever your jewelry collection looks like. And you can choose what pages go into your book. And all of the jewelry is secured to the page, so you can literally flip through it like you would a book. But everything, you can see all the jewelry that you have. Everything is tangle-free and it's organized. And then once you get the piece that you need or put away the piece that you're done with, then you just close the book back up and then slide it onto your bookshelf, style it on your vanity, style it on your mantle, or your little nightstand, wherever you want to put it. And then it blends in with your home decor. I know, genius, right? I created this product because I used to sell jewelry back in the day. So a little background about me for those of you that are not familiar. I used to sell jewelry, Stella and Dot, if anyone's familiar. And I would do trunk shows. And this was definitely one of the avenues that I took when I was a little bit younger to help me scratch that entrepreneurial itch. Because it was really like a business in a box. Stella and Dot is an MLM, or it was an MLM. I think they've changed their business model since. And I know there's a lot of comments and thoughts about MLMs. I don't think, generally speaking, like for people to say like MLMs are a scam, like I think that's very ignorant. And I don't take the word like scam lightly. And I feel like you just haven't done your due diligence. You haven't like given things a second chance. And I also feel like the people that just so quickly call things scams are the ones that are also that have more limiting beliefs. I'm gonna have to test that theory, actually. I'm gonna have to test that out. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on that. That was kind of something that just came to mind. But maybe there's some truth to it. So I loved it. I loved the experience. I loved the community with Stella and Dot. I loved the jewelry, obviously. I thought that I was going to be a fashion designer when I first had that entrepreneurial urge. We didn't go down that route, but I still love fashion. I love jewelry. I love things bold and creative and edgy and fun. And so I started selling this jewelry, and I really got a kick out of doing these trunk shows and connecting with women, both as customers and the other women that were selling jewelry. So when I made the decision to go into business by creating Book of Bijou, that is what prompted me to start Empowered by Women, because I was lacking that community of women around me that was equally ambitious, that was excited to talk about what their strategies were and how they were getting in front of their ideal client and how sales were and all of that. Like that conversation was missing from my life. And I was adamant that I was not going to have that experience of entrepreneurship feel so lonely. No one gets what I'm doing. You truly get to create your life. You truly get to decide what the narrative is going to be. And if you're feeling like you're in that space where you have no support around you, you have no community, there are so many communities around you. And honestly, if you don't feel like you have one or have ever come across one, I don't think you're looking that hard. And if you're still looking, like, girl, you're in the right place. Like, Empowered by Women. Hello, join us. Anyways, that's how Empowered by Women started. But going back to Book of Bijou, 0 out of 10 would not recommend manufacturing to anyone. It has been a nightmare. And also now seeing the difference between having a product-based business and having a service-based business is like night and day. I would absolutely, if I could start over knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't have even felt inclined to launch Book of Bijou, knowing how much easier it is to have a service-based business. It's easier and it's more lucrative. So I don't know, but I still very, very much love my product. I'm going to drop the link in the description so you can check it out. And so we soft launched the product in September 2021, August 2021. I think August of 2021. It's been that long that I don't even know anymore. And we set it up for pre-orders. This was my very first like real business, okay, mind you. So I did not know what I was doing. And I was like, we're going to set it up for pre-orders. I got a whole bunch of pre-orders. Amazing. I was waiting for my inventory to come in. I had this manufacturer that I got connected with overseas. He had been amazing to work with. And I wasn't, because of my lack of experience, I couldn't pick up on the red flags that I should have picked up on. And I thought he was going to be amazing. I thought he was going to be like a lifelong partner. Okay. The inventory, the purchase order that we had kept getting pushed back month after month after month. And I was like, well, hopefully we can get it in time for Christmas. Didn't make that. Hopefully we can get it in time for Valentine's Day. Didn't make that. It did come February. Again, it was supposed to be here by September or October. I don't know. Again, I can't figure out time anymore. It came in February, and I got a whole bunch of boxes of products. And these are not small products. Okay. These are like coffee table book sizes, even like a little bit larger than your typical coffee table book. And I got hundreds of these books. And I started opening up the packages, and I kid you not, majority of them were not sellable, at least not for full price. And the weird thing is that they weren't all wrong in the same way, which is what you would expect if you're thinking mass production, everything's going through a machine and the same kind of tooling, like everything, like somewhere along the line, you would think one part of the machine is off or broken and does something incorrectly. Therefore, the entire shipment will have that one thing done incorrectly. Like that's what you would anticipate, right? But this was not the case. It literally looks like there were 200 people making each individual book because all of the books were just wrong in some way. It was the weirdest thing. Like the text on the cover was crooked, or on the next book, it would be straight, but then the text on the spine was crooked, or that would be just fine, but then the actual binder ring itself was put in wrong or was defective. The tabs on the pages were crooked, or the buttons weren't working. It was a hot mess. Okay. And going through that process, honestly, I feel like toughened my business skin up pretty thick, pretty quickly, because when I made the decision to go into business, I had a pep talk with myself about like, Crystal, shit's gonna hit the fan at some point. Things are not gonna go your way, and it's probably gonna happen over and over and over again. And you have to be okay with it. You have to recognize that that's not gonna be a you thing, that's gonna be a part of the journey. And you have to be strong enough to push past it. Okay. That was an actual conversation that I was having with myself. And the universe decided to prove me right and throw me for a loop with this whole manufacturing debacle, pushing out my inventory a few months out. And not only doing that, but making the inventory not up to par. So, in true fashion, of course, it really was a pivotal moment for me professionally and personally. But I had another conversation with myself of, okay, what is the next step from here? Now that I'm sitting on all this imperfect inventory, and how do I want to show up as a business owner and as a leader? And it was like, do I tell everyone? Like, I was definitely feeling in that space of, oh my gosh, like this feels kind of lonely. Like Empowered by Women was literally barely starting. We probably had like 10 followers. We hadn't hosted any events. So I was definitely in that space of, oof, I just don't feel like, I don't know, like I don't have anyone to lean on. I don't know who to have these conversations with. And do I share my frustrations publicly and with the people who have already bought in and invested their hard-earned money on a product that I can now not deliver on? Or do I have to suck it up and put on a face and act like everyth's all good and we're gonna work on getting you your books as soon as possible and not share any of the details? And I made that decision in that moment of, I want to show up very transparently and vulnerably. And that felt scary. It really was. And I said, you know what? I knew that I wanted to create a brand that didn't just allow people to watch from the sidelines. I didn't just want the pretty Instagram feed. I already knew, like, community was already like underlying in that brand, even though I hadn't fully leaned into it yet at that time. And I knew that I wanted to take people along the journey with me and not just watch from the sidelines. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to like share my frustrations on our social media and see what happens. It's not like we had a crazy amount of followers, maybe had like a couple hundred followers. And so I did. I went on IG stories and I basically said, you know what? Like our inventory is not what we had hoped, and it's a really shitty situation. And I feel very like disheartened. and I'm not sure where to go from here, and I'm not sure how we're going to fix it and how long it's going to take to get new inventory. And I shared very just like open-heartedly and raw, and I was pleasantly surprised with the response, and it really opened my eyes to the power of that kind of vulnerability in business. Because I had people start reaching out to me. Excuse me. I had people start reaching out to me that hadn't yet reached out to me. And they were basically like, I totally get it. Like, I went through a similar shitty situation, or like, that's rough. Like, I feel for you. Like, how can we support? And I was just getting this like outpouring of support that felt really, really amazing. And that's really where a lot of my relationships with other business owners started forming, because I created that space for connection and people could resonate with me, because now I was showing myself as the face of the brand, as not just a pretty brand with pretty books and a pretty product. I was a real human behind it all. And people saw that and people connected with it and people reached out with very, very loving messages. And I was like, wow, that whole experience was so powerful. And that really solidified that was how I was going to continue to show up moving forward. So if any of you have ever like seen me and is like, wow, she really is an open book, like she'll just throw it all out there. First of all, I'm a terrible liar. Second, there is so much power in that transparency and in leading in that way and showing up in that way, because you are creating space for true, genuine connection. Really quick side note. I am drinking mullein leaf tea because I think I read that this is like what some people call like a throat coat tea. And professional speakers drink it when they're doing speaking engagements so that their mouth like doesn't dry out. And I definitely have those moments, even like when speaking on this podcast. So I was like, I'm going to try this tea today. And I feel like it's helping. I feel like I started drinking it a little late. Probably should have done it a little bit earlier, but it's definitely helping when I'm taking these like little pauses to have a sip. Okay, so Book of Bijou. Product comes in February 2022. It's a hot mess express. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the F? What are we going to do? Bringing my little wit into it, I was like, you know what? We got lemons. We're going to make lemonade. And I decided we're still going to use this product to continue to promote the brand. And I'm okay if we kind of share that we have all this imperfect merchandise. So playing along with the book theme, I decided to name them our misprints, which I thought was hecka cute. And I was like, we're still going to sell these bad boys, but we're going to sell it for half off. So I still did pop-ups every now and then. We've actually sold almost all of our black colorway in the misprints. We definitely still have some white ones available. So we have those two different colorways. The pages are the same that go inside. You still have the different colorways of the pages, but the outside cover is like slightly different in design. So they don't look like the exact same book, but they are still very complementary if you want to have one black one and one white one. Or you can have multiple of the same color, because it'll still be really cute. It's like a mini library. I have a mini library on my dresser. I have 4 books. One is full of necklaces, one is full of earrings, one is full of, everything has its place, and it's so cute. So check it out. Fast forward, I tell my manufacturer, what the heck is this? This is not what we agreed on. You had assured me multiple times that when we came to mass production, all of these minor imperfections were going to be fixed, and you did not deliver. Long story short, I had to cut that relationship. He partially refunded me. He couldn't refund me for the whole thing. I was really frustrated and disheartened, and that was it from there. So I reached out I didn't have any connections, okay? I got that introduction to that manufacturer from someone else that I connected with in the Bay Area simply by making a handful of phone calls. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't know who else knows a manufacturer. So I went to a Facebook group of a bunch of business owners, and I was like, hey, this is the product I'm trying to work on. I'm looking for another manufacturer. Does anyone have any connections? and a girl reached out to me, and she is actually kind of like a third party where they deal with multiple manufacturers. And I was like, I kind of love that because now I have multiple options. And so we had reached out to a second manufacturer. Again, long story short, they ended up dropping out of the project because they said it was too complicated, which blows my mind. And then the third manufacturer, we go through the same process of sampling, refining, sampling, refining. And because I was so jaded from our first manufacturer, and because I still have money tied up in that first purchase order, I was like, okay, well, first, I don't know if I can afford to get both colorways. And second, even if I could, I don't know if I trust you yet. So I'm just going to go with one colorway and see if you can execute. And surprise, surprise, it probably wouldn't have been a surprise had I been paying attention to my emails. I actually got the shipments last week. Mind you, this is our first shipment since 2022. It has been more than 3 years for us to figure this out. And a big part of the delay has been me being focused on other things. And I will admit that, like, Empowered by Women has taken a lot of my time. And then I'm also a mom. And then I also had my day job back then. And so Book of Bijou kind of like sat on the back burner. But now it is here. And I am like, okay, now we gotta throw this big old thing into the mix, this whole ass other business into the mix, and see if we could truly like juggle it all. The good thing is my daughter's last day of school is tomorrow. So they get out really early tomorrow. We'll celebrate. Not sure what we're going to do yet. And then they're also going to be starting summer camp starting next week. And summer camp is like a full day. So my work days have actually been so incredibly short because I wake up with the kids, and then from 7 to 8:30, well, really from 7:30 to 9, 7 to 9, I am getting them ready for school, and then I'm dropping them off. And then from 9 to 10, 10:30, I hit the gym. Then I come back home, usually have 1 or 2 calls. And then at 1:30, I leave to go pick up my kids. And then I'm usually back by 2:30. So and then from there, I work maybe 2 more hours before we pick up my son, which really, like, I can't get any work done after that. So my work hours are like 4 or 5 hours a day usually. And this is going to be the first time since I quit where I'm like, okay, I kind of have like a full work day if they're going to be in school from 8:30 to 5. Honestly, full heart to heart moment, I still kind of have an issue saying that I'm excited for it because that feels like a terrible thing to say from a mom perspective. And I have to continue to put myself in check because if I had a quote unquote regular job, a regular 9 to 5, like I wouldn't feel so guilty about it because that's just something that I would have to do, right? Because I have to show up for work. I can't just not work. And I know that I have to treat my business in that same regard of I have to show up. Like, just because I'm a business owner and I can create my own schedule doesn't mean I can just act like there's nothing to do and that I don't have to show up. So I am excited to have these longer work days. And I do know that I have the flexibility of, if I don't have such a busy day, maybe I will pick them up a little bit earlier and then we'll go have a fun day and spend time together. So for any of my mamas out there that kind of still struggle with that mom guilt, girl, I get it. I'm right there with you. It's kind of like an ever lingering thing that we're constantly dealing with. It never quite fully goes away, but just know that you are so worthy of choosing yourself. And that doesn't mean you're not choosing your kids. It means that you're just really committing to everything that you're wanting to build, which will allow you to show up more present and fulfilled and excited and patient to be with your children and to give them the life that you know that you want to give them. So keep doing your thing, girl. Okay. So back to Book of Bijou. A lot of my time has been spent just going through these boxes. I had one of my girlfriends, we had a coffee date planned last Friday, and normally I don't do coffee dates, honestly. And I've had a lot of people like requesting to take me out for coffee. And I'm frankly like, I don't have the time, which is something else that I've really kind of struggled with because I want to be available to our community because that's really important to me to be able to give back and support our community. But at the same time, I got to make sure that we're still building community and we're still doing the things that'll move the needle forward for us as a platform and not just for every individual person. Like I have to pour into the platform so that we can pour into even more women. So I haven't seen this girl in hell long, okay, and we go way back, and we like she knew me already as having that entrepreneurial itch. The crazy thing is the last time we saw each other, I was still selling jewelry, and I was like, "Wow, that means that really was a long ass time ago." So my inventory came on Thursday. We were supposed to have our coffee date, or maybe it came on Wednesday, something like that. We were supposed to come have our coffee date on Friday, and I was like, "Girl, I know that we had plans, but um, my time is very limited, and I just got this shipment of 34 boxes that I need to go through that has hella shit in it. And would you be open to just grabbing coffee to go and coming over to the house and helping me sort through it?" And I felt a little awkward asking, but she was so down, which was just like so nice. It's so nice to be able to have that kind of support and community around you. So we still got to catch up, but we were also like being productive as we were doing it. And we got through a handful of the boxes. So far I've been just quality checking the actual book covers and sorting through the pages, but I haven't quality checked the pages. And I am trying to rush to get through that because the boxes are literally overtaking our living room. And we have 2 rabbits that love cardboard. They already started chewing on one of the boxes, and I need to make sure that they don't actually get into the product. So I'm trying to clear that out as much as possible. So I've literally blocked out the rest of my calendar for the next week and a half that haven't been booked yet for calls. And I'm like, okay, that time is going to be spent doing admin thing and then also organizing things for Book of Bijou. So I spent so much time talking about Book of Bijou. I didn't think I was going to talk about it that much, but just know that's in the works. Follow us on Instagram, get on our email list, and stay tuned for all that's going to happen with that. I do want to say, let's see. I want to update you guys on one other thing at least. So let's talk about speaking for like 5 minutes, and then we're going to call it quits because I got to go pick up the baby. Updates on speaking. So I was chatting with one of the girls that's hosting the summit at the end of the year, and we were talking about my speaking opportunity. There was a little bit of miscommunication in terms of like what my role in it was. She had a multi-day event, and I thought I was going to be part of one part, and she thought I was going to be a part of the other part. But now it's turning into a conversation of potentially I'll be part of both parts, which is great. So super excited for that. Obviously, the more exposure, the better. And one is like a presentation style where it's more hands-on workshop. The other one is like speaking on a panel. So super excited for that to come to play. And then obviously I'll share the details once I'm able to. But then there was also another gal that I had connected with last holiday season who hosted this beautiful dinner for women founders. And I went because those are the rooms that I love to be in. And she was hosting more events, and she one of the events that she hosted recently had speakers. And so I reached out to her and asked the question and said, "Hey girl, like if you ever need more speakers at a future event, like I am happy to do that for you." And she said, "Absolutely. I'm going to have a yacht party, like, and I want speakers." And I'm like, "Yacht party? Count me in." So we hopped on a call, and basically, as long as I'm good with the date, because she hasn't finalized the date, I'll be speaking at her event, which is really amazing. And the great thing is it's going to be a multi-person speaking thing. It's going to be like a panel format. So this is yet another opportunity where I get to position some of the gals from our community that also want to do more speaking engagements, that also need that content, that also need to position themselves as expert speakers, as professionals, and as authority figures in their industries. This is going to be a co-ed event, so I'm also going to share a couple of male counterparts that I think would be a great fit, which is not something that I'm used to doing, but I'm going to be very strategic about that in terms of who I am pitching to her, because there is someone from my past high school life, that is doing big things. And I was like, that would be a great opportunity to actually reconnect with him because he's doing amazing things and that could potentially like snowball into other things. So there is thought going into every little thing. And I just want to leave you with this here because I just made this has been a very prevalent like topic about just asking the question. Because there are so many times people are like, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? How did you get there? I asked the freaking question. Like literally a lot of times that is my answer. I asked the freaking question. I asked if I could do that. I asked if I could have that. I asked if I could use this. And people say yes. And people are so surprised that those yeses can come so easily. Like, yes, no's are very common in this world, but also yeses are pretty common too. And I have a scheduled post later today or tomorrow, I have to double check, about how we used a private jet for our pregnancy, our very first pregnancy photo shoot, pregnancy announcement photo shoot. And it was basically like people were asking how we got a private plane for our photo shoot. And I used to be a flight attendant. So people thought that I just knew someone. I had like a really strong connection somewhere or someone with the hookup, or I like spent money to rent a plane for a couple of hours. Your girl went to a hangar. I had this vision. I want a plane in the background. How do we make that happen? Let's go to this local hangar where there's little planes. I walked in there and said, hey, I'm pregnant. I want to have a photo shoot. Can we use one of your planes? And they said yes. That's literally what it was. And this topic comes to mind because one of my colleagues, one of the other women from our community, did something very, very similar for her branding shoot, where she got to use this old school muscle car because she went to a car show, loved that car, and asked the owner if she could use the car for her shoot. And he said, absolutely. He was just excited to be a part of it, and she had to pay nothing. And we always make excuses for why things won't work out for us, that we don't have the budget, that we don't have the resources, we don't have the connections, we don't know where to start. Have you asked the freaking question? Like, just ask the question, okay? I got that speaking engagement on a boat because I asked the question. So I'm going to leave you with that. Think about the question that you have been holding off on asking. Think about the event that you wanted to host that you have not been hosting because you feel like you don't have the resources, you don't know the people. Have you asked for support? Have you asked anyone to help you bring it to life? Have you asked? Okay, that person that you've been wanting to work with and that you know that you can really help, have you asked them if they would want to use your services? All right, I'm going to cut it there. Baby is waiting for me. You guys are amazing. Thank you for tuning in. As always, leave some loving comments. Screenshot this episode, post it on IG stories, tag us in it. I would love that. You're amazing. And I will see you next week.